as 2023 draws to a close and 2024 being right around the corner, I think this last month is very important for us to find the right altcoins, because in 2024, I am strongly speculating that we're going to have a very good year, at least overall. So we got to find the right altcoins now. Now, the 3 altcoins I'm going to show you today are ones I'm personally buying, and you will see these in my new portfolio breakdown very, very soon, because I think they have a lot of potential and they haven't erupted already like the rest of the altcoins. So with that being said, let's jump into this video with price predictions, analysis, and all the rest that goes along with it. Don't forget to like the video and share it if you really do enjoy it. So before we start, I want to say I actually had a live stream yesterday and I had a really good question from a guy named Raj. Now, Raj asked me, he said, "Hey, Kyron, look, I've got HBAR. Now, HBAR isn't on this list, by the way." He said he bought HBAR and it really hasn't performed the same or anywhere near other altcoins he might have in his portfolio, or the likes of, Chainlink, Solana, so on and so forth. He said, "I'm sick of seeing it basically move sideways." And my response to him, and I'm going to, repeat this, is essentially when we're looking at these altcoins as investors, we're not trading them, right? So it's very important in the ones we're looking at today that yes, they haven't really moved, but now is a good time to accumulate them, right? And specifically for December, because ultimately what's going to happen in the next 2 years is prices will move up. These altcoins are very good, as we'll see the reasons why today. So I think given the fact that we can accumulate them more over the next month, or likely even a few more months, is a big bonus for me. I've got my sell orders in place. I know how much money I'm making out of the market. I've done my analysis. I'm happy with that. So if they spike in between like Chainlink and all that is right now, that is actually not a good thing for me, because I'm trying to accumulate as much as possible. They will succeed. It's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's when. And so the first project on today's list is Quant Network. Now, I've covered this project many, many, many times over the bear market, probably upwards of 100, right? Because it's pretty much had some of the biggest, if not the biggest news ever, right? In the whole entire damn space over the last 12 months. It's just absolutely mind-bending. And again, it really hasn't appreciated yet, because you have to understand, for a price of a project to appreciate, people have to get in, the degens particularly, right? And of course, in a bear market, news doesn't really travel as far, or it definitely falls on deaf ears. So this is the situation with Quant. Now, I can get into the whole reason why I love Quant. A lot of you will know why by just simply watching my channel for more than a week, right? Quant is, as you can see here, interoperable, right? It's connecting the unconnected systems of the world. Forget just crypto, okay? It's pretty much doing things in a very secure, interoperable way, right? Connecting legacy systems, new systems, blockchain systems, particularly Web3 as well, in a very secure, safe, and easy way, okay? So Quant's had some massive news recently. It's partnered with the BIS on Project Roslyn. Now, Project Roslyn was essentially the Bank of International Settlements. We'll get into who these guys are in a second, working with not just Quant, but also one of Quant's partners particular, as well as the likes of Amazon, Barclays, Bank of Canada, and the Bank of England, to work on ways in which they can bring CBDCs to life. And of course, Quant is the key, part of this, essentially the center of all of this being possible, because Quant's the one facilitating all of these payments. There was a successful collaboration, and this is some pretty big news. And when I say some pretty big, I mean like super big news, because the BIS is a central bank, essentially, of all central banks around the world, or most of them. 63 central banks currently are part of the BIS. This includes the Bank of Australia, well, not much Argentina anymore, right? We all know how the news of that's come out. Bank of Canada, European Central Bank, Finland, France, it just goes on, right? They're all in here, basically. And so the BIS being essentially a way in which these central banks can communicate, facilitate transfers. And so the fact that they've come to Quant and said, hey, can you help us build this out, is pretty important, because if the BIS implements something, these central banks will follow. It's just how this system sort of works. Now, a big part of Quant being Quant is right now it's working on SATP, or the Secure Asset Transfer Protocol. Now, it's basically a protocol that is working in tandem with a few other entities, and one of those such entities is the IETF, or the Internet Engineering Task Force. These guys are actually an organization that is responsible for the technological standards that make up the internet protocol as we know it. Now, they're building this out alongside these guys, essentially creating a protocol in which they can facilitate a secure asset transfer protocol. Pretty simple, right? Big stuff. And so I think Quant's got a long way to go, and the fact that it's hasn't really moved in the last 12 months is a big thing here. Now, I like to use a last 12-month indicator on CoinMarketCap to tell me if we are below the open, it's a very good time, I think, to buy. Now, more importantly, as you can see, Quant right now, teetering $100. Yes, it was lower down here, sure. But if we actually jump into the chart, we will actually see, I'm strongly believing that under $100 is a very good time to get into Quant, right? Because it's a nice round number. Anything less than that's good. So I would say the maximum price I personally would DCA, and again, I am someone looking for a 20 minimum to a 30x personally on all my altcoins. So for me, $100 is the top, right down to basically where the low is, right? You can never just go, you can never stop being too good of a price to buy in at. So essentially between these ranges is what I would look at as a good buy or entry level. And now if we actually scroll back, I believe Quant would most definitely go to about a 20x, right? And that's a $29 billion market cap. So if Quant goes to $2,000, again, a 20x from $100, that at least meets my requirements. I think it's possible. Again, a very important metric to look at here is the market cap size. In this case, it's 29 billion, which I definitely think is feasible, considering we're likely to see trillions of dollars enter the space over the next 2 years. Now, with Quant out the way, we have a project I've spoken about as well on the channel, and this one is XDC Network. It's a layer 1 network, yes, but it is specifically niching into a very important area in which blockchain technology is absolutely required. And that is trade finance, right? Trade finance is pretty much how the world runs, right? Through trade systems. It's a multi-trillion dollar, or even probably into the quadrillions of dollar market. It's absolutely just mind-bending how much money flows around this. Of course, it's anything that's trade, country to country, foreign or domestic, right? And so right now, it's very difficult because most of this trade happens on paper. Yes, pen and damn paper, right? Feather and squirrel or whatever you call it, right? It's very old school, and right now there is works, as we'll speak about in a second here, to bring this into the digital age, and XDC will help facilitate these transfers. It pretty much solves a very big problem because I spoke about, foreign and domestic transfers, and a lot of these small institutions, right, they can't really send a transaction or, operate a sort of trade deal from a country to another country, right, foreign, because that tends to have high fees, or at least there's a high minimum barrier to entry, basically, for these enterprises to get into this larger market, right? Which is typically why they have to build themselves up domestically before they start doing that sort of thing. And so, pardon me for interrupting this video, but I've got a word from this video's sponsor. Now today, guys, we're talking about a project called Karga. Yes, Karga. So if you're not too familiar with what this project is, it makes a lot of sense. It is a very new project, recently launched and recently pumped quite a lot as well. So what is Karga? Well, it's actually a very simple project to understand. It's basically a community project made from community people. Essentially, all it really is a DAO, right? It's a governance token built on the Ethereum network, designed by people who want you to have more of a say in a project to do different things. And particularly what they're starting off with is a liquid staking mechanism. Now, it's of course built on Ethereum, and the main purpose behind this is to initially allow you to interact with the DeFi ecosystem on Ethereum, and of course other networks that are connected with the Karga token as well. And essentially what you do would be stake your Karga tokens, receive liquid Karga tokens, earn yield on those staked tokens, and then interact with other DeFi protocols as well. Now, of course, the project is very, very young, so options are limited right now, but they are looking to branch out, and of course, getting community funding is the next step in the evolution. Now, we're going to have a quick look over here at some of their features. As you can see, staking on Karga. The roadmap over here, there really isn't too much. You guys know I like to look at very bullish things. Basically, they're just essentially marketing all the way through to Q4 2024. But because it is a governance token, what they're fundamentally doing here, and what they'll likely do in this case, is have roadmap events that pop up as time progresses. It's just sort of an ongoing thing. Now, I want to say there is, of course, a little bit of a concern. We don't actually know who the team members are. They are, again, from the community. A lot of people would like to be anonymous. It's crypto, so no one, of course, always likes to come out here and say, hey, this is my full name, my full face. So, but of course, there is also two sides to the coin as well. So I want to say it is, again, a very new project. It has recently launched. So there is, of course, inherent dangers. So if you are going to be looking to invest, I would say just use money that you're affording to lose. None of this is financial advice, okay? And as you can see here, the market cap's 135 million, which actually is interesting because they launched on Gate.io, their first centralized exchange, I believe, yesterday, at least the time of recording, 29th of November, and they actually pumped it's 200%, technically a 3x in 7 days, but they launched about over here, the news, So they're basically 2.5x in the last day, which is quite literally insane. So guys, I'm sure there possibly is more upside. Now, I'm not going to say that for certain. Of course, I don't know. There is inherent risk, so do what you want with the information. Thank you so much for Cargo for sponsoring this video, and on we go. Again, XDC is trying to reduce that barrier to entry, basically, right? Now, they are a, Web3 project as well, but I don't want to worry about that. This project and the next one I'm going to speak about in a second here, these guys, while they're in crypto, Web3, they have a token and stuff, and they can support a Web3-based ecosystem. They're mainly focused in Web2, which is just as important as Web3, if not actually more. So with that being said, XDC, we could talk about it all day long. And the EVM compatible, it's got, super fast, super secure, so on and so forth, but you guys have all heard that sort of story. As we can see back here in January, this was a submission to the UK, as we can see, the UK government, to support electronic trades, right? Again, typically speaking, it's been pen and paper for so long. This submission is made by XDC Network themselves and pretty much goes over the reasons why XDC is a good fit for an electronic-based trade system. And they're also, saying, hey, we should be doing electronic trades. Well, actually, guys, crazily enough, on the 20th of July this year, the UK actually signed off on the electronic trades, which actually is a very big market. As you can see here, 1.26 trillion in just the UK, very big market to get into. XDC now has the possibility of entering and dominating this market because there is no competitors. You heard me right. So there is much more to talk about XDC here. They're partnered with one of the largest consortium networks out there, R3 which, has an ecosystem of the likes of ING Bank, HSBC, so on and so forth. We'll be here all day talking about it. Now, talking about a good entry time and why it's important to look at this now is the fact that XDC Network is actually at levels I believe is a really good price, right? Last 12 months, yes, we are far and exceeding, or actually by 2x, the open, right? Which is not good, but I want to say we are, I believe, almost at entry-level prices right here. 4.5 cents, I believe, is a good time to get into this. Again, we're talking about the last, 12 months. We are above just a little bit right now, but I think if it does fall beneath this line, and of course goes any lower, is a very good time to get into the project. Either way, I think you're still going to be laughing because essentially from that minimum level I believe you should get in, I am expecting at least a 34x coming out of here from my price prediction for XDC Network. That would put the market cap at a very crisp and small, mind you, $22 billion at $1.50, I believe. Yeah, $1.50. So I think that's most definitely possible here. Again, it's a very small project right now, so it's got a lot of room to grow. Now, the last one I'm going to talk about today, actually, we have a bonus coin as well, but I want to touch on this first, is Casper Network. I actually bought myself 150,000 Casper tokens the other day. It was one of my biggest purchases, and it's for a very good reason. We're in a very good time to buy right now. We'll touch on that later on, but like I said, kind of similar to XDC, Casper Network is a layer 1, but focusing heavily on the Web 2 world, which again is going to draw in large clients, which essentially will actually be a reason the price exceeds far into the future. Now, these guys essentially are not like XDC focusing on trade finance. They actually are focusing more so as a general computational network, right? Essentially a consortium network. Now, I'm going to go over some of these consortium competitors in a second, but that's the likes of Quarter, Quorum, Hyperledger Fabric as well. So these are the ones that are essentially bringing on these massive clients, the likes of Nike, Adidas, Google, Bolt. Like these sort of companies essentially have their infrastructure running from these consortium networks, JP Morgan. And so that's what Casper is essentially competing with, right? Now, they had a bit of a skiff over there with Ethereum for a bit. They actually come out with a good result for the lawsuit. That's all finalized right now, nothing but the hills. Great APY and staking, by the way. So you can actually, there is high network inflation, but that's healthy. We're not getting into that discussion today, but you can far exceed that and actually get a lot more money out. The reason why I bought so much Casper at these prices is because over the next 2 years, I'm going to make like a 5x on my initial investment in just passive rewards alone. It's crazy. So these guys have a few awesome differences that separates themselves, right? They actually have upgradable smart contracts, which is a very important component that a lot of other networks can't do. Once you create the contract, that's it. Then if you want to change it, you have to destroy it, or just even have to leave it run, or create a new contract, right? As I said, very early on in the network, right, they claim decentralized, and yes, it is, but I guess the benefit of being on Casper here is a few of these things are tackling, right? Tokenization, ownership rights is a big part of this, financial standards, and creator economy. Most importantly, this, ownership rights. They're partnered with IPWE, who essentially is the pioneer in anything regarding intellectual property, right? So I think 90% of the Fortune 500 companies that have any sort of IP run it through IPWE, and they are tokenizing all these things on Casper. It's a massive project. That's not the only project on Casper right now doing some sort of ownership right-based, endeavor. There's a lot going on here beneath the surface. And again, it's competing with the likes of, for example, R3/4, who actually is intimately connected with XDC Network, funnily enough. And this is some of the ecosystem partners in R3/4, just to give you an idea, right? MasterCard, ING, HSBC, Wells Fargo, PayPal, so on and so forth, right? This is essentially what it's trying to do, because it offers a completely different type of infrastructure for businesses to use that is actually far exceeding any of its competitors, R3/4, Hyperledger Fabric, and Quorum. Far exceeds that, right? They allow developers to build in a much more robust, essentially smart contract language, WASM, right? I don't want to get into that either way right now. The last 12 months over here with Casper, as you can see, we basically are just a little bit up from the open, but I believe it's still a very good time to buy. We are basically at just above now the entry level, in my opinion, okay? Now, I want to say one thing about Casper and XDC, by the way, if you've made it this far, and that's the markets, right? These guys aren't on Coinbase, they aren't on Kraken, they aren't on, Binance. So when they do go to launch on these exchanges, it's going to be nothing but positive price action, right? So that's a big benefit as well. So back to Casper's price over here, we can see that again, we're looking ideally here at just above the 3 cent mark down to, well, again, the lower the better essentially, right? But my price prediction is for this guy is actually even more bullish than XDC. I think we're going to go to about a $15 billion market cap. So yes, it's still very tiny. It's a 38x from that top. That's huge. A 38x from a project like this. I mean, come on. That would be about $1.20 range, so very, very possible in my opinion. Now, the dark horse of this, and the one I'm going to mention here, is ICP. Now, the reason why I've added it as a bonus, I'm not going to talk too much about it, is because it does have to actually fall quite a bit lower to where I believe is a good entry point. I believe $4 and lower is better. We were a lot lower recently, which is a bit of a shame for a lot of us that didn't get into that price. Either way, from the $4 price range, nothing too crazy, but for a project right now at about a $2 billion market cap, I think a $60 billion market cap would be about where I see ICP, no pun intended, actually going there. So 23x, I think, is very feasible. Again, anything underneath that, you're just extending your ROI even more. And if you want proof of how good ICP is, well, here's something that recently serviced from Vitalik. This was actually a few years ago, but Vitalik actually essentially gave Dfinity, or the company creating ICP, a big bonus here. He actually said that he pretty much sees it as a very good development, right? A good protocol. So with that being said, everyone, thank you for making it the whole way through. Let me know what you think about these picks down below. And I'm personally looking to buy these in December. And with that being said, I look forward to talking to you all soon. Take care.